We ask that the Most High have mercy on our souls and that His Spirit is with us again, and that we teach according to His word and according to His Spirit and not ours. Colossians chapter 3, verse 17, and it reads, "And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all by Shem HaMashiach Yahushua, giving thanks to the Heavenly Father YAHAWAH by Him." All praises to the Heavenly Father YAHAWAH, the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So let's begin with our forefathers of the 12 tribes of Israel. I want to go into Genesis chapter 49 and verse 5. Genesis 49 and verse 5. Simeon and Levi are brethren. Instruments of cruelty are in their habitations. O my soul, come not thou into their secret, unto their assembly, mine honor, be not thou united. For in their anger they slew a man, and in their self-will they dig down a wall. Cursed be their anger, for it was fierce, and their wrath, for it was cruel. I will divide them in Jacob, and scatter them in Israel. Now the Most High speaks only of this tribe as having this cursed anger. All other tribes pretty much were able to maintain their passions. The only other one that was close to this was Dan. Dan had an anger similar to this. And when we read Genesis 49 and 17, it says, Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backwards. All right. So this is the only other tribe that's close to being like Levi and Simeon with this cursed anger. Dan had impulsive anger. He couldn't control himself. If you notice, any snake, most snakes take their time before they strike. But if you look at an adder, if you get too close, it'll strike quick without even hesitating. And that's how the Most High called Dan. So Simeon, Levi, and Dan had this anger. So the Most High cursed Levi, Simeon in anger, and anger is a passion. And we will read about righteous anger and unrighteous anger in men. First and foremost, let's go to Romans chapter 15, verse 4. Romans 15, verse 4. And it reads, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." Now the whole thing here is about patience. All right, patience is what governs all the passions that we possess as children of the Most High. We are the children of, again, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And most of us do not know the difference between righteous anger and unrighteous anger. There's an understanding for both. So we're going to review the scriptures today concerning these emotions which man possesses, because we all have them. None of us are exempt. We're going to utilize not only the 1611 King James Version Bible, the KJV Bible, today, but also the Septuagint Bible. We're going to dibby and dab into the 3rd and 4th Maccabees. So if you have a Septuagint, grab it. If you don't, then listen up, because we're going to talk about man's passions. And the first book I'm going to go to in the Septuagint is the 4th book of Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse 13. And it reads here in this book, "The question therefore is whether reasoning be absolute master of the passions, Let us determine, then, what is reasoning, and what passion, and how many forms of the passions, and whether reasoning bears sway over all of these. Reasoning is then intellect accompanied by a life of rectitude, putting foremost the consideration of wisdom. And wisdom is a knowledge of divine and human things and of their causes. And this is contained in the education of the law, by means of which we learn divine things reverently and human things profitable. And the forms of wisdom are prudence and justice and manliness and temperance. That manliness is a big one, and temperance. The leading one of these is prudence, by whose means indeed it is that reasoning bears rule over the passions. Of the passions, pleasure and pain are the two most comprehensive. All of us know about pleasure and pain, but we don't consider the other ones being passions, but we consider them being emotions. So, I mean, you could put the two together, emotions and passions, and almost it'll be a recollection of both words as being emotions. But a lot of us don't see anger and temperance as being that. But it says, and they also by nature refer to the soul. And there are many attendant affections surrounding pleasure and pain. Before pleasure is lust, and after pleasure, joy. And before pain is fear, and after pain, sorrow. Wrath is an affection. Okay, so anger and wrath are synonymous with each other. Wrath is an affection, common to pleasure and to pain. If anyone will pay attention when it comes upon him. All right, so now we see that wrath is a passion, but it is also, like I said, a form of anger. When you define the word anger, anger is defined as a strong feeling of annoyance or displeasure or hostility. These are some of the categories of anger. A good example would be to be unable to restrain yourself. This is a passion. You know, sometimes things make you so mad you can't control yourself, right? It's a part of the passions that we have. Now, how do we get these passions? Well, the Most High created this in all of us. He created it in men and women. We all have it. A lot of us can't control it. A lot of us experience this as being young children and being punished for it. You know, the more aggressive you were, the more you got punished with this anger. Let's look at Genesis chapter 5. Genesis chapter 5. Genesis chapter 5 and verse 1, we're going to read. It reads, "This is the book of generations of Adam. In the day that the Most High created man, in the likeness of the Most High made he him. Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created." So who created them? Who created the them, which is us? The Most High did. Most men do not realize the operations of passions we have in us that we receive from the Most High. The difference is this: because the Most High created all men with it, all men don't have the instructions to control it. What are the instructions? As we always say every weekend, the instructions are the law, statutes, and commandments. How many people you know study the law, statutes, and commandments? Not many. So how could they control their anger and their passions of lust and, different things and sadness? How could they control it? A lot of families don't teach it. So without instructions, How can you wield the sword of anger or the sword of wrath? It's impossible. Someone will have to teach you. Let's go to James chapter 1. And a lot of people get anger mixed up in a fight for both opponents having the same thing, anger. If you look at a ninja or a professional boxer, most of the time they're not angry. It's being controlled. They continue, the whole entire time of the fight, they're poised. They know when to exert certain forces on the other opponent, but they don't just, when you're angry, you unleash. Okay, you lose control. And so this is what we need to learn when dealing with these passions. You can lose control with anything. You can lose control with lust. You can lose control with your desires. You can lose control with it. James chapter 1, verse 19. The book of James, chapter 1, verse 19. It says, "Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath." Slow to wrath, slow to anger. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of the Most High. See that? So even though we have it, if you don't have the understanding of it, you can't wield it. Even if you do have the understanding of it, you have to be careful, because wrath is deadly. It could get a lot of people hurt and a lot of people killed through wrath. Spare the moment, heat of the moment, anything can happen. Acts chapter 15, verse 35, and it reads, "Paul also and Barnabas continued in Antioch, teaching and preaching the word of the Most High, with many others also. And some days after, Paul said unto Barnabas, Let us go again and visit our brethren in every city where we have preached the word of the Most High, and see how they do. And Barnabas determined to take with them John, whose surname was Mark. But Paul thought not good to take him with them, who departed from them from Pamphylia, and went not with them to the work, to do the work to teach. And the contention was so sharp between them that they departed asunder, one from the other. And so Barnabas took Mark and sailed unto Cyprus. And Paul chose Silas and departed, being recommended by the brethren unto the grace of the Most High. And he went through Syria and Cilicia, confirming the churches." So contention in verse 39 is the same thing as a disagreement. What comes in with disagreement? Anger. What comes in with anger? Slander. Okay? This is something that's unrighteous in the Most High. This is bringing evil upon both of you. You're both arguing. You're both getting out of the spirit. And anger is triumphing over your soul and your spirit. So how do you correct that? You got to recognize what's going on and back away, just like Paul did. And what happened? They went their own way. So this is an element that a lot of us have a problem with. We get in arguments, we disagree with one another. You shouldn't be arguing over nothing when it comes to the law, statutes, and commandments. Everything else is always up for argument. But when it comes to the laws, statutes, and commandments, we should all be on the same page. We should have an agreement for peace. But there will always be bickering and fighting about the ethnicity of different people in the scriptures. There will always be bickering about the location of the people in the scripture. This truth is not about any of that. This truth is about wherever you are on this planet. It's about you repenting. It's about you repenting and being on a righteous path to the Most High. Doesn't matter where you're at. You could be in Antarctica and repent. But that other stuff, it's important, but it's not as important as that. Freeing your mind and following his laws, statutes, commandments, and in the ways of Mashiach. And prophecy is a whole nother thing. Some of you are trying to figure out prophecy, and prophecy could be 1,000 years down the line. So have intellect to recognize what our forefathers and our prophets spoke about. I want to take you to a verse. I want to show you how our forefathers handle contention. And let's go to Genesis 13 and 10. Genesis 13 and 8. I'll start at 7. This is Abraham and Lot. And Abraham said, and there was a strife between the herdsmen of Abram's cattle and the herdsmen of Lot's cattle, and the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelled then in the land. And Abraham said unto Lot, let there be no strife. What is that strife? Being anger, be having contention amongst one another, having a fury of disagreements. I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdsmen and thy herdsmen, for we be brethren. Why are we fighting? Why are we getting out of the spirit? You know, this is dealing with your fellow Israelite brother. Let's go to Proverbs 10 and 12. Proverbs chapter 10, verse 12. It reads, hatred, hear that? Hatred. Anger comes out of hatred. Hatred stirreth up strifes. But love covereth all sins. You got to be a man among men and back up out of that. Look at another one. Let's go to Proverbs 13 and 10. Proverbs 13 and 10. Only by pride cometh contention. See, a lot of brothers with a lot of pride don't know how to let it go. Only by pride cometh contention. I'm right. No, I'm right, brother. I'm right. You don't know what you're talking about. Only by pride cometh contention. But with the well-advised is wisdom. See that? With the well-advised, there is wisdom. So you got to know whom you're talking to and how to keep from getting angered. Let me get one more. Let's go to Proverbs 15 and 18. All of these are passions. Proverbs 15 and 18. A wrathful man stirreth up strife, but he that is slow to anger appeaseth strife. Calms it down. Calms down that contention. You got to know what you're dealing with. Don't antagonize it. Sirach chapter 17, verse 1. The Most High created man of the earth and turned him into it again. But we come from the earth and we die, we go back into the earth. But while we're here, this is what he says. He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein. He gave us power over our passions. He gave us power over our operations to control yourself. Verse 3, he endued them with strength by themselves and made them according to his image, and put the fear of man upon all flesh, and gave him dominion over beasts and fowls. They received the use of 5 operations of the Most High. All right, so what are the 5 operations? You hear about that in school. 5 operations: touch, see, smell, hear, taste. Those are the 5 operations. And in the 6th place, he imparted them understanding. So that's the 6th sense, understanding. And in the 7th, speech, an interpreter of the cogitations thereof. In order to get the understanding, you have to seek counsel. You seek the counsel in the scriptures. Verse 6, counsel and a tongue and eyes, ears, and a heart gave he them to understand. So most animals, they have the first 5 operations, but they don't have the 6th operation. Okay? But you watch Animal Planet, you might think some of them do, that they think things through, some of them. But a lot of times it's fear or dominance. Dominance scares things that are weaker than it. So a lot of times it's just fear. Animals do things out of fear, and they do have a form of reasoning, but it's not like us. We have the spirit of counsel. Verse 6, counsel and a tongue and eyes and a heart gave he them to understand. Withal, he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and showed them good and evil. How do we get that? Through the law, statutes, and commandments. To know good from evil. Verse 8, he set his eye upon their hearts, that he might show them the greatness of his works. He gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, that they might declare his works with understanding. Remember the Most High said in Deuteronomy chapter 6, this will be your wisdom in the sight of the nations. These laws, statutes, commandments. Verse 10, and the elect shall praise his holy name. Who is the elect? Those who keep his laws, statutes, and commandments of Israel. Okay, and those who have understanding that follow Israel to the Most High. So this is how we know that all of these things came from him with the handbook. So anger was created in us from the Heavenly Father, but with instructions. Let's go back to, not the Apocrypha, but back to the Septuagint. And I'm going to read the 4th book of Maccabees. I'm going to read chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 10. 4th book of Maccabees, chapter 2, verse 10, and it reads, for the law conquers even affection towards parents, not surrendering virtue on their account, and it prevails over marriage love, condemning it with transgressing the law. That's when adultery comes in, fornication comes in, anger, all of those things. Control is a form or a realm of a law for marriage. And it lords it over the love of parents towards their children, for they punish them for vice. Parents will lose their mind if they didn't have the law. If they didn't have understanding of how to punish their children, children would be getting punished for nothing. And it domineers over the intimacy of friends, reproving them when wicked. And think it not a strange assertion that reasoning can, in behalf of the law, conquer even enmity. It allows not to cut down the cultivated herbage, those who are growing in the truth, of an enemy. Now you know how to deal with enemies, but preserveth it from the destroyers, and collecteth their fallen ruins. And reasoning appears to be master of the more violent passions, as love of empire, and empty boasting, and arrogance, and loud boasting, and slander. For the temperate understanding repels all these malignant passions, as it does wrath. See that? I highlighted that part. For it masters even this. Thus Moses, when angered against Dathan and Abiram, did nothing to them in wrath, but regulated his anger by reasoning. See that? Even Moses got angry. He was the most meek man on earth, but he was able to regulate his anger. For the temperate mind is able, as I said, to be superior to the passions and to transfer some and destroy others. For why else does our most wise father, Jacob, blame Simeon and Levi, as we read, for having irrationally slain the whole race of the Shechemites, saying, cursed be their anger. For if reasoning did not possess the power of subduing angry affections, he would not have spoken thus. For at the time when the Most High created man, he implanted within them his passions and moral nature. That's how we got it. He's telling us right there that he implanted everything that he has in us. He created us after him, after his kind. And at that time, he enthroned, I'll read that again, verse 21. For at the time when the Most High created man, he implanted within them his passions and moral nature. So we all have that same thing. All of us have a moral nature. Even the heathens have a moral nature. But we also have instructions in guiding us how to get past these passions. And at that time, he enthroned above all the holy leaders' mind through the medium of the senses. And he gave a law to this mind, by living according to which it will maintain a temperate and just and good and manly reign. How then a man may say, if reasoning be master of the passions, has it no control over forgetfulness and ignorance? The argument, that's not a passion, forgetfulness and ignorance. The argument is exceedingly ridiculous, for reasoning does not appear to bear sway over its own affections, but over those of the body, in such a way as that any one of you may not be able to root out desire, but reasoning will enable you to avoid being enslaved to it. That's the whole point. One may not be able to root out anger from the soul, but it is possible to withstand anger. See that? So you got to work on yourself. A lot of people got to work on themselves, on how they possess anger. Because anger can destroy families. Anger can destroy kingdoms. That passion alone is crazy. So we see even Moses got angry, but he says, but it says he did nothing to them in wrath. Let's look at the Apocrypha. Let's look at Sirach again in the Apocrypha. Let's go to chapter 10. Something to learn from everything here in the scriptures. Sirach chapter 10, and let's read verse 18. Sirach chapter 10, verse 18. Listen to this. It says, pride was not made for men. How many of y'all knew that? Pride is not, it was not made for us, nor furious anger for them that are born of a woman. So furious anger is not made for us either. Furious anger also leads to death. Furious anger is it's an impulsive anger. It's a quick response without really thinking the whole thing through. Anything can happen when that passion controls you. You know, it's an unrighteous anger, furious anger. I've been there. I've had furious anger before. And I know of many other people who's had furious anger. Things just upset you sometimes. And sometimes you're not prepared for it when it comes. So you have to really just master it and control yourself. Let's go to Psalms chapter 37. There's no guideline. There's never a guideline when it's supposed to come. It just happens. So this truth should already be in you to know what to do when it hits. Psalms chapter 37, verse 8. Psalms 37, verse 8. And it reads, cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil. The interesting thing about this anger issue is this. On the freeways, when you see traffic, you always see road rage. The interesting thing about this kingdom that we're in with this technology, they're now making vehicles. They're putting all these little buzzers and lights and things inside these cars now where you can't just get over when you want to. You got to put on the signal light or else the car won't move. It won't get in the next lane. Driven a car like that on the East Coast, a rental car. You put on a signal, you can't get in the right lane unless the signal is on. You get too close to a car, it beeps. So if you have road rage and you are purposely about to slam into somebody else in your car, and the police get involved and they want to do an investigation, all I got to do is just pull up all them buzzers and lights and signals that you didn't do, or that you ignored, and they could come up with a good assumption on how this whole thing happened. Even though it's for safety, it's also in reverse to investigate your butt and find out what happened based on road rage, which is anger. I'll start at verse 8 again. Psalms chapter 37, verse 8. Cease from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not thyself in any wise to do evil, for evildoers shall be cut off. For those that wait upon the Most High, they shall inherit the earth. Our job is to wait. It's to be patient. It's just like the scriptures say in Revelation 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments and the faith of YAHAWAH. Our job is to be patient. Patience is a virtue. Patience requires work. I want to show you another verse concerning patience. Luke 21, verse 19. Luke 21, verse 19. And it reads, in your patience possess ye your souls. So if you can't control your anger, you ain't in control of your soul. He says, in your patience possess ye your souls. You have to learn how to do that first. Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. If man can't control wrath, who can? Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. It reads, the Most High judgeth the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. He's angry with the wicked. Does he do anything about it? Every day the Most High brings his judgment on the earth. It says, if he turn not, he will whet his sword. So even the Most High has patience. Sometimes he turns away from it before he strikes. What you're seeing here is his mercy by him turning his back. It says, if he turn not, if he don't turn around, then the Most High going to send down vengeance. It says he will whet his sword. He has bent his bow and made it ready. He hath also prepared for him the instruments of death. He ordaineth his arrows against the persecutors. See that? The Most High is just. Behold, he travaileth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood. Talking about these enemies. He made a pit and digged it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made. This is the mercy of the Most High on his saints, on his elect. When we pray to him, when we have this anger, we send it up to the Most High, and the Most High prevent anything from happening to us. Verse 16, his mischief shall return upon his own head, and his violent dealing shall come down upon his own pate. You don't think the Most High see what these heathens are doing to us? Psalms 83 tell you that they're trying to hide us. He tells us that they have a false name against us, a byword. Verse 17, I will praise the Most High according to his righteousness, and will sing praises to the name of the Most High, YAHAWAH. Let's go to Psalms 83. So the wicked is angry with us too. And the Most High said he's angry with the wicked every day for plotting against his saints. This is the righteous anger that the Most High has against the wicked. Psalms 83. Look at Psalms 83. Let's look at verse 2. It says, start at 1. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. Don't turn your back. Whet your sword is what King David and Asaph is saying. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. That crafty counsel is hatred. That crafty counsel is also anger. They hate the Most High's people, and they are angry at the Most High's people for being who we are. That's why they had crafty counsel and consulted against thy hidden people. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and Hagarims. So it goes on and on. It's telling you how they hate us and how they're angry with us. And the Most High set a trap for them. They will fall in the pit. Only the Most High can use the power rightfully. This is why we ask for him when we are angered to help us and to search our hearts and to prove us and to take the evil away from us, from entering us. These heathens are setting traps for us. These enemies, they set traps for us, and the Most High is going to deal with them. And the righteous shall be victorious. Who are the righteous? Those are the 12 tribes of Israel to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. This is the thing with our enemies who sit in high places. In today's world and in the old world, when our enemies when they contemplated anger, it turned into a lot of mind games. Okay? That's why we don't see them just killing people outright. Everything is mind games now. So this is what our forefather David also had to deal with, even in those days, dealing with the Philistines and the Amorites and the Edomites. He had to deal with all that. Look at Psalms chapter 64. Everything that's written in the scriptures, I mean, the Most High ain't got to tell us everything that happened. But King David was a king. And in order to be a king, you got to have people that work for you. And you got to remember, they didn't have the technology that we have today. Let's look at Psalms chapter 64. So King David and his clergymen, they were always mad and angry. Psalm 64, verse 1. Hear my voice, O power, in my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemies. Okay, now when most people read that, they think, okay, maybe King David was just running and they was trying to stab him. No, this more than this. There's a lot more going on. Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked. So it was counsel going on that King David knew about, but he couldn't see it. You couldn't prove who was the wicked ones. Imagine that. You know, how you work for a company and you know somebody's saying stuff about you, but you just can't you don't have any evidence, but you can feel it. That's what King David was feeling amongst all these other nations. He had to trade with these other nations. His people had to eat. Food had to come from other places. That's why the scripture says to be at peace with all men. He had to war against some. He had to make peace with others. It says, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword and bend their bows to shoot their arrows. We just read that about how the Most High does. Even bitter words, that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. All right? We see the stuff going on today. You know, depopulation of people and the medicines and the different job factors, how many people getting laid off. This is shooting in secret at the perfect. Who is the perfect? Perfect are his saints. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. They commune of laying snares privily. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. They accomplish a diligent search. Both the inward thought of every one of them and the heart is deep. These laws that get passed, most of our people don't even read these laws, let alone they don't know who even wrote them up. They don't know the faces of these people. They don't know the personalities of these people. And they're writing things that go against us. Okay? They're shooting in secret at the perfect. Due to them being angry with us. They know how to word things to get us back. But the Most High shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High, for they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Most High and shall trust in him, and all the upright in heart shall glory. This is anger that we don't see, that we pray to the Most High for help against our enemies. Okay, this is what YAHAWAH was talking about, how he created kingdoms and dominions in the visible and the invisible, things that we can't see. Going back to King David had merchants. He had merchants who worked for him. He had men who delivered secret messages to other kingdoms for him, and they had to do it by horseback. There was always spies. There's always bands of heathens hiding behind trees, ready to take the spies out or ready to take the mail carriers out to get the message, to get the secret message. They're always trying to pick them off, or kidnapping, murdering travelers who went to and fro. It was all a chess match. How did Uriah know he was walking into a trap? King David sent a message to have Uriah sent in the heat of the war battle, because he knew he would get killed if he went there. It was done by a message. This is something that went on all the time. People were sending messages to and fro. That's just one example that we were able to read in the scriptures, but that was how they did business. The seal on the message from the king. King David, he had to have trust amongst his men to bring justice to the poor and the needy and to search out those spies. He had to reserve his anger when he got mad. And when you look at us, we deal with the same thing today. I mean, we deal with mail fraud, hoping you get your mail on time, someone hacking into your credit cards, someone hacking into your bank, your Social Security. We're making sure when we take our children out in the public that they don't get kidnapped by some pedophile or some rapist. You know, our young women, they're afraid to go out. The same stuff that was happening then is happening now. You know, we got debtors coming against us, trying to take unnecessary monies out the blue. A lot of times we don't even see it coming. So you mean to tell me when this happens, you don't get angry? Brother YAHAWAH, remember when he got his identity snatched on the computer? How angry he was? He had to calm himself down. Now, we get angry. We deal with the same things in this day and time. And what should we do? We should turn to the east, towards Jerusalem, and pray to the Most High that he stop whatever's going on dead in their tracks. Or ask him to prevent things that we don't know about that's going on behind our backs to stop in their tracks, that they never meet their destiny of trying to get us to fall. So we have to master these passions like a soldier. You could be just in the Most High. You know, you could be just in the eyes of him by just doing what he tells you to do. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 14. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29. Now, when you lose it, you know, that's always a treat to see somebody lose it, especially in politics. That gets everybody's attention when you see a politician just going crazy, just saying stuff that you never thought a politician could say to another politician. You know, you see that in the Senate. I remember about 11 years ago, there was a senator who was trying to shoot another senator in front of the building. I don't know how many of y'all remember that, but the only thing that prevented this dude from getting killed was a tree that was in between them. It was on national TV. One senator tried to kill another senator with a revolver. It was crazy. They sometimes lose it. That's anger. Straight anger. Can't control it. Something else. But Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29. It reads, "He that is slow to anger is of great understanding, but he that is hasty of spirit exalteth folly." There's some hasty people. Some people don't know how to just relax. Just relax, man. It's going to get done. You ain't got to push the issue. It's going to get done. You know, some people are hasty. I say it right now. Let's go to Job chapter 4. It'd be like, take your time. Hurry up, though. Job chapter 4, verse 17. Look at this question the Most High. Look at this question Job asked the Most High. Job chapter 4, verse 17. And he says, "Shall mortal man be more just than the Most High? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly." It's impossible to be like the Most High. Impossible. You can try all you want. It's impossible. But you are to try. We are to keep his righteous laws. That's what we're supposed to do. Try to keep his righteous laws. Even Paul in Ephesians 5:1 says, "Be ye followers of the Most High, as be dear children to him, as YAHAWAH also was a follower and gave his life for us to be like him." So we are to try to the best of our ability. Verse 19. How much less on them that dwell in the houses of clay, whose foundations is of the dust, in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed for the morning to the evening. They perish forever without any regarding it. Doeth not their excellency, which is in them, go away? They die even without wisdom. What is the excellency that is spoken of here? The excellency is his righteous laws. That's the only form of excellency that can be in us is his law. That's the only thing that teaches us to war or to fight without hands. That excellency, to fight our passions and to help others fight theirs. King David had that excellency in him. He was always repentant before the Most High. He had a forgiving heart. King David is a man of the Most High's heart. Let's go to Psalms chapter 139. Psalms chapter 139, verse 17. Psalms chapter 139, verse 17. It reads, "How precious also are they, or thy thoughts, unto me, O power! How great is the sum of them! If I should count them, they are more in number than the sand." He's talking about his laws and his precepts. "When I awake, I am still with you." I'm still thinking about your laws, statutes, commandments. I'm still thinking about justice and righteousness. I'm the son of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I come from a path of righteous men. Verse 19. "Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O power. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men." When we say I'm from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're saying that you're following a strict ordinance, that your fathers weren't foolish men. Verse 20. "For they speak against the wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them?" That's anger coming out. The hate. There's anger behind that hate. "Do not I hate them, O power, that hate you? And am not I grieved with those that rise up against you? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies." So what you have to do is understand the difference in King David's speech. On one end, you hear in the New Testament, "Be at peace with all men." But King David is getting ready for war. He knew tactical strategies. In order to fight in a war, anytime you compete, you got to have an edge. And sometimes anger can be utilized. Most of the time, it can be utilized in war. It's a motivation factor in war when you're competing. That's why when you see sports, you see the different colored jerseys on each team. It's preparing men for war. And it starts at the age of 5 on up. The children participating in Pop Warner football. So there's a little, and when you see a child who don't have that fight or that dog in them, as far as competing, then they don't have any anger in them. And that's a part of what makes you manly too, having a little anger when it entails competition. So a little anger in competition is never bad. That gives you the edge in winning. But you have to know how to use different types of anger. Anger has many different factions. So King David is talking about war at this point, and he's going to utilize the fact that these are heathens and infidels that disrespect the Most High who created all beings on the earth. And he's going to use that anger to bring the Most High's judgment and justice. So you have to know how to use this anger. Now listen to King David here. He says, search me, O power, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way of everlasting. Now King David, he is asking the Most High to search his reins to make sure he wasn't out of bounds from the Most High's mercy and from the law that he had studied. Because King David was grieved and he was angry about his enemies. But he didn't want to be doing evil, because from anger comes evil. Everything we wrestle with in this life festers within us. So our main goal is to master ourselves in these passions and these emotions so that we can be victorious. It's an everyday thing. Book of James, chapter 4. Book of James in the New Testament, chapter 4. Book of James, chapter 4, and let's read verse 1. Book of James, chapter 4, verse 1. It reads, from whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even your lust, that war in your members? Ye lust, and have not ye killed, and desire to have, and cannot obtain? Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Like I said, everything starts from within, and spirits spiral and split. Sometimes it can split 7 ways. You can have hatred, and that can split into many different things, many different other emotions. Can you control it? James chapter 4, verse 3. James chapter 4, verse 3. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lust. Yeah, you praying for something to consume that's lustful. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with the Most High? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of the Most High. Do you think that the scripture saith in vain, the spirit that dwelleth in us lusteth to envy? You have to think about kingdoms and leaders. A lot of these dudes, they pray to the Most High and they ask for victory, and they are the most lustful dudes in the world. Truth sometimes in their face, and they ignore it because they think their truth is the truth. I'm talking about if King David had spies going out there, or if he had a mail carrier going out there, this other guy could pay somebody off to go kill that mail carrier. You know, I give you 1,000 drachms to go kill this guy and think he's doing righteousness so he can have the victory. That's a praying for a miss. Verse 6, but he giveth more grace, wherefore he saith, the Most High resisteth the proud, but giveth grace unto the humble. Submit yourselves, therefore, to the Most High. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. We have today what you call emails. People get in trouble today for emails being sent, because those emails, if it gets to the wrong person, they can forward it to the person that it was not supposed to go to. And it caused a lot of problems in discourse. So know your boundaries. All of these things we spoke of, anger, wrath, lust, are spirits. Many people don't think they're spirits, but they're spirits. I mean, most people do, because even people who are not in the truth, I don't know what kind of spirit you got on you. You got a wicked spirit. You know, people say that's in the world. When they're getting ready to get into a fight, they say, you're a wicked person. You know, before they start fighting. Let's look at the commandments real quick. Let's go to Exodus chapter 20. Hatred festers even from the commandments. People who don't read it and follow it. Exodus, let's start at Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Exodus 20 and 3. It says, "Thou shalt have no other gods, no other powers before me." Okay, those who do take on another spirit. That's a wicked spirit. Look at verse 4. "Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, the most high thy power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and show mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments." So if you do anything other than that, guess what? That's another spirit. To pray down before idols and pictures, that's another spirit. That's not the spirit of the Most High. I don't care if you got a Caesar Borgia in front of you and you're praying down before it. You light a little candle to pray before it. Some people do it before crosses. Got a cross on the ceiling, or got a cross leaning up against a counter, and they're praying right. That's their place to pray. Most High said, don't bow down to it. All right, look at verse 7. "Thou shalt not take the name of the Most High thy power in vain, for the Most High thy power will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain." So if you do that, that's another spirit. The Most High can be angry with you for possessing another spirit. Let's go to verse 8. Here's a big one. "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy." If you don't do that, that's another spirit. Everybody go to church on Sunday, that's another spirit. They're stuck in that spirit. Another spirit. All these spirits, those are the spirits that the Most High hates. That's what he talks about in Revelation chapter 18. He says, "For it's a hateful bird and many foul." What is that? Let's go there real quick and come back. Revelation 18 and 3. These are spirits, man. A lot of our family go to church on Sunday. Those are different spirits. Those are not the spirit of the Most High to keep the Sabbath day holy. Verse 2. Revelation 18 and 2. "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils." See, that devil is a spirit. Deceivers. "And the hold of every foul spirit," there it is. "The hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." See that? And this says, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her." Different spirits. That's not of the Most High. "And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." Let's go back. Exodus chapter 20. Exodus chapter 20. Look at verse 12. "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land, which the Most High thy power giveth thee." Okay? If you do something other than that, that's another spirit. This is why we honor our forefathers, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, King David, YAHAWAH, all the way down. Every one of these commandments, you need to be on point and follow the spirit of the Most High, so he don't find no ill will spirit in you. These are all spirits that do opposite. And the Most High has a place for them, and it's called the lake of fire. Verse 13, "Thou shalt not kill." Why? Because that's another spirit. That's when you let anger take hold of you, or wrath. In order to kill, you got to have anger in you. Some brothers see that and still don't understand when they see it. Going to war is different from just premeditated murder or just a furious spirit of anger, impulsive anger just to kill somebody. Matthew chapter 5 and 21. Look at what YAHAWAH said. To kill is another spirit. Anybody you see kill somebody, if it's not justified, what is justified? Self-defense is justified. Then they got another spirit on them. Be careful of them brothers, sisters. Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. Matthew chapter 5, verse 21. Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. He said it was of old time, but this is a new commandment. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. What's that danger of the judgment? Eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause, it's very interesting. This is where we got to pause and think. What are the causes for somebody to be angry with you? The Most High, he has a bullet point line for this, but just to throw out a few things, you got people that break promises. You got people that make false oaths. You got people that steal. Let's go to 1 Timothy 1 and 9. Let's find out some of the causes why people can be angry with a person. All right? 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 9, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless and disobedient, for the ungodly, and for sinners. People get mad at sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslaughter. I mean, most people who lose their parent or their child to someone who killed them can't forgive sometimes. It takes time to forgive. So that's between them and the Most High. And for that person who did it, that's between them and the Most High as far as that judgment comes. But listen, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, for perjured persons, and if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. But listen, according to the glorious gospel of the blessed power, which was committed to my trust. This is Paul speaking. And I thank Hamashiach Yahushua, our power, who hath enabled me, for that he counted me faithful, putting me in the ministry, who was before a blasphemer. People hated Paul. And a persecutor. He killed Stephen. And injurious. But I obtained mercy because I did it ignorantly in unbelief. So Paul was forgiven by the Most High, where he made him a minister of Hamashiach to go teach the Gospels. So this is how you could be forgiven, those who have caused these problems to other brothers. Ask for mercy, ask for forgiveness. All of us are supposed to repent in the eyes of the Most High towards him so we can get that mercy. And it's up to the other brothers and sisters who don't want to forgive when necessary against your fellow brother and sisters. The Hebrews. Those are the causes. Anger and hatred are two different categories. So when you look at anger has a definition. Hatred has a definition. But all of these are just passions. Just like sorrow is a passion. Laughter is a passion. The Most High gave us all these different emotions. We got even the strive for perfection. Perfection is a passion. Bitterness is a passion. Some people are bitter. That's a passion. That's an emotion. Pride is another emotion. That's a passion. Happiness is a passion. Love is a passion. Remember what King David said? He said, I have perfect hatred for my enemies, those who hate you, Lord. So there's different categories. When you say one word, it's not talking about the same thing as another. If you say you have anger for somebody, it's not necessarily hatred. It's just anger. That's why he says if you have anger towards somebody without a cause. All right? So he's given us the causes throughout the scriptures. You could be angered with a nation of people. Look at Israel. The Most High is angered with all the other nations. Look at Ezekiel 25 and verse 12. Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 12 says, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, because that Edom hath dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance and have greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Most High of hosts, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and they of Dedan shall fall by the sword, and I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to what? His anger, and according to my fury. So that's anger and fury. And they shall know my vengeance. That's three, vengeance. That's vengeance is revenge, saith the Most High of hosts. Ezekiel 35, verse 1. We're going to read about Mount Seir in this chapter. Mount Seir is the capital of Edom. So it says in verse 1, Moreover, the word of the Most High came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith the Most High of hosts, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Most High, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. Remember, King David said that he had a perfect hatred. He's saying to Esau, you had a perpetual hatred. You kept hating, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So this is a righteous cause to be angry, for us to be in these conditions, and for them to acknowledge the affliction that they caused on us. Look at Malachi chapter 1. Look at Malachi chapter 1, verse 2. It says, I have loved you, saith the Most High. That's a passion. He's talking about Jacob. Yet ye say, Wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Most High? Yet I loved Jacob. And then this is a passion. Look at what the Most High said. And I hated Esau. He hated Esau. Remember, he also said in Psalm 7:11, he's angry with the wicked every day. So not only does he hate Esau, he's also angry with the wicked. So it says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage, which is talking about a people that have a heritage, laid their heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, they shall build, but I will destroy. The they is the whole nation of Edom. They're going to continue to build, and the Most High is going to destroy it. Why? Because he has a hatred for them. The Most High YAHAWAH. And he has a reason for it. He has a cause. Just to give you the understanding, there is reasons behind the scriptures and everything. But we are not galvanizing our hatred towards an extreme measure. You understand? That's where the Most High takes over. Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Rakah, shall be in danger of the council. But whosoever shall say, Thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembereth that thy brother have aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. What if your brother won't reconcile with you? Then what? You've done what you're supposed to do. You ask for forgiveness. If he didn't forgive you, pray to the Most High. Ask the Most High to forgive you for what you did to your brother. All right? Then you got to move on. You know, that's how you deal with that. But if a brother don't accept it, hey, then he's wavering hellfire on himself for harboring that anger. He got to let it go too. Because there's a lot of brothers who refuse to accept the forgiveness of their brothers. You got to let that go. The thing is, the Most High, he sees if somebody sincerely asks for forgiveness. He sees that, and you don't want to dig a pit for yourself if you don't honor that brother's forgiveness. You ain't got to deal with him no more, but you should be able to honor that brother's forgiveness if he's trying to ask for forgiveness from you. Look at Romans 12, verse 17. All this is stemming from anger. Brothers and sisters just can't let go. Romans chapter 12, verse 17. Romans chapter 12, verse 17. Recompense to no man evil. When you harbor anger, you always have anger against that person. You got to let it go. That's why I said recompense to no man evil for evil. He says, provide things honest in the sight of all men. If it be possible, as much as life in you, live peaceably with all men. You see that? Live peaceably with all men, even the heathen. In order to have trade, you got to be able to trade with the heathen too. Live peaceably with all men. Verse 19, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine, and I will repay, saith the Most High. Therefore, if thine enemy hunger, feed him. If he thirst, give him drink. For in so doing, thou shalt heap coals of fire on his head. Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. All right, and this is what you have to learn to be like Hamashiach. Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. Let's go back. Exodus chapter 20, verse 14. It says here, thou shalt not commit adultery. That's another spirit. To go against somebody that's married, that has a union in the Most High, why would you try to break it? He says, let no man break a marriage. Do not be that one to do it. Verse 15, thou shalt not steal. That's another spirit to steal. You don't have any respect for those that you are stealing from. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Many brothers have lost their lives based on this right here, bearing false witness. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. See that? That's another spirit when you do so. Why would you want that spirit on you? Let's jump back up to 14. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Big one. Big one. Woo! Now that's a spirit that can bring some serious, furious anger, especially at the heat of the moment. Look at Proverbs chapter 6. This anger thing, this passion it could be a life situation of pain and suffering. Proverbs chapter 6, and let's read verse 29. Proverbs 6 and 29 says, so he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her, shall not be innocent. Shall not be, and you're going to go through something. Whoever did that is going to go through it. He's going to go through something. The Most High is going to be the judge over him. I can pull out many other verses on this right here, but I'm not. Verse 30, men, do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. This is a thief that he's stealing to eat because he's starving to death. That's different. He can repay this. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. So you can still restore that. But look at what happens when adultery happens. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding, lacketh what the Most High told him, lacketh what the scriptures is saying. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. Because now you're getting the Most High involved. The Most High has stepped in. When you do a marriage, you do it in the light of the Most High. The Most High is there. It's just like when we pray. When we pray, don't you know there's an angel taking our prayer up to the Most High? We think it's just going to just magically go up to heaven on its own? No, it's an angel taking our prayer to the Most High. There's somebody always there with you when you're praying. How you think it's going to get heard? There's a messenger. So when you get married, it's the same thing. There's two. I don't know how many angels might be there, but there's got to be more than one, with all the witnesses that are there observing the wedding. So now you got somebody who thinks they could take what you are in promise to the Most High as being a holy marriage. They think they could take that from you. Now you're about to get all these angels involved. That's going to report it to the Most High. What happened? But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. What if this is a man that's not in the truth? He don't have no bounds. He has nothing to hold him down. He has not mastered his emotions. He has not mastered his passions. What do you think is going to happen? That man is going to be waiting to judge that other man. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. He don't want nothing from that man. He just want blood. See that? But let's see what the Most High says about all this wrath and rage, because he said the rage of a man, rage has no limits. To be rageously mad, rage is off the hook. Yeah, rage is like an uncontrollable anger. It's in the heat of discovery of something. That rage is a hellfire spirit. It can take over the mind of the righteous as well. You be in this truth, and it can affect you. You might want to go out and take blood from this dude or woman. But this adultery, not only must you worry about that man, but the Most High bringeth judgment down on that man. And that judgment is set for him as well, because anything can happen to the married man while he go and take vengeance. Galatians chapter 5. Look at this hellfire rage. Galatians chapter 5. Let's start at 19. Galatians chapter 5, verse 19. It reads, Now the works of the flesh are manifest. The works of the flesh are manifest. There's the works of the law, but then there's the works of the flesh, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath. See that right there? So this is the works of the flesh. So you don't want to get caught up into that spirit, and that's what it was talking about, how man won't take anything for ransom. He just wants blood. Well, now that man is in the same spirit as the other man. It's just a different fashion. One is in the spirit of adultery. The other man is in the spirit of flesh of wrath. Strife, seditions, heresies, envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom. That man with wrath, he's just as bad as the man with adultery. There's no way into the kingdom. He won't inherit the kingdom of the Most High by doing what he's about to do to this man. Only the Most High can possess that spirit of rage. Only the Most High. He's the only one that knows how to utilize it. No man can control wrath, as we read earlier. Let's go to the book of Nahum. It's tough, but we are on a stage, family. This is a stage that the Most High has set for us to see if we will follow his word. And we're going to be experiencing all types of tests that's going to move us to do things that we don't want to do, to get out of his spirit. Nahum chapter 1, verse 2. It's after the book of Micah. Nahum chapter 1, verse 2. And it reads, the Most High is jealous. Just like that man was jealous, the married man, the Most High is jealous. And the Most High revengeth. The Most High revengeth and is furious. See that? The Most High will take vengeance on his adversaries, and he reserveth wrath for his enemies. See that? So the Most High has a furious anger. He's also wrathful. The Most High is slow, but he's still slow to anger, and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Most High hath his way in the whirlwind and in the storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. He rebuketh the sea, and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languish, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languish. Now you're about to get poetic. So I'm going to stop right there. But the Most High, verse 7, it says, the Most High is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knoweth them that trust in him. So if you fall into this spirit of wrath because of adultery, you don't want to lose the trust of the Most High. You don't want to lose that trust. Leave that rage of the Most High for that man. Let the Most High deal with that. The Most High will be a just power, and he will deal with that. All right, let's go to Psalms chapter 7. For all those brothers out there suffering right now, and sisters. Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. Look at this. Psalms chapter 7, verse 11. And it reads, the Most High judgeth the righteous, and the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. So the Most High is angry with the wicked every day. So the Most High is always angry, basically. He's always upset. He's an austere man, the Most High. And YAHAWAH had the same spirit. He's austere. People was afraid to ask them questions because of their austerity. Let's go to Matthew chapter 21. Look at YAHAWAH. Watch how he had anger. He had a righteous anger. Matthew chapter 21, verse 12. Matthew 21, verse 12. And it reads, and YAHAWAH went into the temple of the Most High and cast out all them that sold and bought in the temple, and overthrew the tables of the money changers, and the seats of them that sold doves, and said unto them, it is written, my house shall be called the house of prayer, but ye have made it a den of thieves. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. So he still had a righteous judgment in the Most High. He turned over the tables, and it said that he cast them out of the temple. So that's a form of wrath, righteous judgment. YAHAWAH possess the Heavenly Father's anger. The Most High uses his people sometimes to defeat the enemies that come up against us. You can read that all through the scriptures. So the anger, that's why I said anger splits in so many different ways. You have to know how or where you fit in that particular category. Personal anger against something, you have to learn how to control yourself. But when it comes for the people of Israel, when it comes for the nation, you want to be a martyr for the people of Israel in the name of the Father, if it's the Most High's war. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 20. Jeremiah 51, verse 20. Let's start at 19. Jeremiah 51, verse 19. The portion of Jacob is not like them, for he is the former of all things. Who? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Most High of hosts is his name. Thou art my battle axe and weapons of war. For with thee will I break in pieces the nations, and with thee will I destroy kingdoms. And with thee will I break in pieces the horse and his rider, and with thee will I break in pieces the chariot and his rider. With thee also will I break in pieces man and woman, And with thee will I break in pieces old and young, and with thee will I break in pieces the young man and the maid. I will also break in pieces with thee the shepherd and his flock, all these other churches. And with thee will I break in pieces the husbandman and his yoke of oxen, his slave master, and his yoke of oxen. And with thee will I break in pieces captains and rulers. And I will render unto Babylon and to all the inhabitants of Chaldea all their evil that they have done in Zion in your sight, saith the Most High. The Most High is about to destroy everything using his people. And that's a righteous anger. But in order to be in that war, you got to already be functioning right. You got to already have the law, statutes, commandments in you to be a part of that war. You have to already have the mastery over all of these different passions that the Most High is talking about in order to be in that war, to exemplify anger. You're not going to have just some irrational person try to step in this war to fight people because you ain't going to know how to act. This is important, the man and woman of being in the truth. So they both can be holy and blameless. To be able to recognize evil before it blooms, that's the whole point of this truth, being able to recognize it. Remember the curse, the anger of Simeon and Levi? Remember that curse? The Most High cursed that anger. They acted without being reasonable. The more you grow in this truth, the wiser you should get. The wiser you should become as you get older. Let's look at Sirach in the Apocrypha, and let's go to chapter 25. The book of Sirach, chapter 25, verse 6. Sirach, chapter 25, verse 6. It reads, "Oh, how comely is the wisdom of old men, and understanding and counsel to men of honor." Drop down to verse 6. Much experience is the crown of old men, and the fear of the Most High is their glory. See that? You got to experience everything. How can you be a winner if you never lost? You gotta take there has to be a bracket of losing in order to become a winner. You got to lose. All right. Once you lose, then you know how to win. But you just can't just start off being a winner. It's the same thing with being experienced. You know, look at LeBron James, for example. Look how many times when he was with Cleveland, they lost. Then he had to go to Miami to win and then go back to Cleveland, and then he knew how to win. You know, you have to experience things in order to know how to correct them and how to approach them better. And that's why the Most High said, much experience is the crown of old men, and the fear of the Most High is their glory. Women too. Verse 8, well is him that dwelleth with the wife of understanding. Y'all both have to be on the same page, and you could prevent anything from happening like adultery and fornication if y'all both on the same page in the truth. And that hath not slipped with his tongue, and that hath not served a man more unworthy than himself. Well is him that hath found prudence, and he that speaketh in the ears of them that will hear. Oh, how great is he that findeth wisdom! Yet is there none above him that feareth the Most High. That's what it's all about. The fear of the Most High. That comes first in order to master the passions through the law. Let's go to the Gospel of John, and let's go to chapter 3. Gospel of John, chapter 3, and verse 36. Gospel of John, chapter 3, verse 36. It reads, he that believeth on the Son, on the Hamashiach, hath everlasting life. And he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of the Most High abideth on him. We read about that wrath already. The Most High is going to bring his wrath down on those who don't keep his laws and his commandments. And you don't have to be in Jerusalem to believe on him. You don't have to be anywhere that you don't want to be on this planet not to believe on him. You can believe on him anywhere you want to be on this planet. You can be in prison and believe on the Most High YAHAWAH and his son YAHAWAH. So that's the freedom of being in the truth. Let's go to Romans chapter 1. Romans chapter 1, verse 18. For the wrath of the Most High is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. See that? The whole point is being in the truth, learning the truth, operating in the truth. You don't operate in the truth, the Most High can't protect you. His wrath only is for the wicked. So if you choose to be the wicked, how are you going to be protected? I mean, it's a system. The Most High don't have to come down here. He already got things in order. If you're keeping the laws, whatever's out there can't touch you. Just like we talk about this COVID-19. The system of wrath is coming down on those who are ill will and evil. That COVID-19 can't touch you. Even if it does, it's not going to wreck your system. But if you're going against the Most High, it's going to wreck your system. If you find any, what is a COVID? Think about this. What does a COVID-19 do when it hits your body? When it hits your body, it searches for any weakness in your body, right? If you got a bruise in your right leg, and you just got that bruise, and you catch COVID-19 the next day, and you have no other weaknesses, where's that COVID-19 going? It's going to inflammate, if that's a word, bring inflammation to that wound. Okay? Just like that COVID-19 searches out people's bodies, that's the way the Most High is. It's the same thing. That wrath will search out your body and destroy it.
This is the word of the Lord of hosts. I took you from the pastures and from following the sheep to be prince over my people Israel. I have been with you wherever you have gone and have destroyed all the enemies in your path. I will make you a great name among the great ones of the earth. I will assign a place for my people in Israel. There I will plant them, and they shall dwell in their own land.